of quiet solitude and worship, and you're disturbing the peace.
I need to disturb the peace because people are at peace with mass murder. It's not time to be at peace with mass murder.
I totally agree with you, but these are not the people that vote for mass murder.
Right. These are the people who vote to regulate mass murder. They vote for pro-life candidates who regulate murder instead of abolish it, probably.
Well, you can't say probably and be out here yelling. You need to know.
I know that there are tons of people who could show up to the killing facility on Saturday morning and shut it down with just the sheer number of people standing in front of it, but they don't.
You can't block access to a facility.
You could if you want to save people from death.
If you want to be arrested, yeah?
Sure.
Is that what you want?
I think that's the appropriate response in the midst when you're dealing with like a mass killing incident, right?
Okay, so you shut one place down, they're just going to go to another one.
Well, not if thousands of other Christians are shutting down the other ones, right?
So you think if enough people went to every single facility and blocked access from women that need medical care that they believe they need?
Well, it's not medical care, it's murder.
Well, that's how they see it.
Okay, yeah, and
then
right.
They'll have, what do you think that woman will do?
They might wake up to the fact that this is murder and love their baby, and keep their baby.
Well, just pretend you're the woman. Really enter her mind, and you know that this is the same at all the facilities. It's all blocked the same way, and you can't seem to traverse your path. What would the woman do? What would you do if you were the woman?
I don't know.
She'd call the police and say, these people are blocking my path to access this facility, and the police would come and remove the people so she could access the facility.
And then more people would show up.
Just like Rosa Parks and the kids that were desegregated, were put into the school. That's what would happen. Sure,
and more Christians would block the doors after that.
You're not going to find people here opposed to what you believe.
Yeah, I do. I will.
Well, not in the masses for which you're here with your great and good voice. What I'd suggest, though, is that your efforts would be better served at, and I know I've been to a lot of places, churches that don't espouse conservative values.
No, I think we need to get the people who believe the right things but don't do it. We need to get the people who believe that it's murder so they can take action, right?
I agree.
We shouldn't go to the people who we come to people for help, right? So we can't get help from the pro-abortion people. Yes. I'm here for multiple reasons.
Okay, so if you're here for help and that's the kind of help you want, have you made a specific appeal for that specific type of help to the leaders of the church?
No, I don't have to. I can go to everybody at the church. I'm not seeking to go to the leaders and have them set up programs and activities for people to follow them in. I'm here to exhort people to take personal responsibility for the fact, their own neighbors in their own community. Just a personal responsibility to live consistently or live consistent with what they profess in the midst of a Holocaust. People say abortion is murder, but they're not acting like people are actually getting murdered. They're not living their lives seeking to rescue them from being murdered.
So are you aware that you can propose the kind of law change that would bring that about?
Yeah, we can go to legislators and call them to repent. That should happen.
No. There are ways to, if that's how strongly you believe it should be gone to, you can have referendums put forth that are voted and have to be acted on. In other words, there's it's like a constitutional amendment.
I think I know what you're talking about. I don't know if you can do that in Illinois.
Well, no, it's a national thing.
Oh.
So, but yeah, you'd probably have to go state by state. But I mean, there are ways to get to where you want to go, and 80+% of the people here would go with you. But standing here and yelling at them, you're not persuading the masses. You
might be an assumption.
Well, you might persuade, 2 or 5 people.
Yeah.
If they come over and talk to you. But mostly what you do is you create the wrong impression with the right people instead of the right impression with the right people. So if you want them to take action, you want them to take votes, you want them to to support your cause so that things change, I mean, actually change, not just talk about it change, then you have to do more than stand here and yell at people that already support what you do, but
They don't
understand.
support what I do.
Well, but they do. I know they would if there was a way to vote to overturn Roe versus Wade, they would vote for it.
We need more than voting. We need personal action on a daily basis to rescue people from murder, to change the cultural norm. There's tons of people in our culture who believe it's okay to murder children. We need to change the culture by constantly being a voice for the children, because the children don't have a voice. Constantly being visible for the children, because they're not visible and they can't stand up for themselves. We need to be the voice. We need to go out in the culture and reach millions of people with the truth about the fact that people are created in the image of God, and that's why we have value. We need to go out to millions of people and reach them with the gospel so their hearts change, so they don't want to murder their children anymore. But that's not happening.
Well, they're preaching the gospel inside.
Right, we need to go preach the gospel outside. Okay. That's what needs to happen.
Well, I heard you from that far distant tree yelling.
Okay, yeah.
And I would have to say that the people that live there, your peace, their peace, you're disturbing.
I should disturb their peace.
Well, if that's what you think, then that officer would have to remove you.
Well, that's up to him.
But what I'm saying is the people that are living next to where you're yelling could make an issue, and then you wouldn't have the right to even be here. I don't want that.
I don't care.
But I don't want that to happen. I want you to have a voice. But what I'm trying to explain to you is your voice would be more effective if you approached it a couple different other ways at the same time. It doesn't mean you wouldn't still be here. But your signs, we've all seen the signs, but you're back with the same signs. You know what you need? You need signs that say, this is how you can make an effective change. It's not enough to yell and show pictures and create some emotion, because what happens is the way you're going about it. Now, the first time, okay, I think you needed some emotion drawing. But now, if you're going to be here again, you need to change. And this is true for all I've seen, in the city and other places, they do the same thing. You need to change, and put something on this side that says, this is how you can help. And then have a website.
Or I could preach it. I could just preach to all the people at once and reach a bunch of people with how they could help, right?
Well, you could, but if you'll put a website with an easy-to-remember name, then people will go look it up.
I mean, we have pamphlets we give to people that have the website.
But they won't take them. But they'll see your website.
They will. Some of them do.
But not as many as people will see your website and go to it and might sponsor you. And actually become involved the way you're talking about.
I use different methods. I preach. I have conversations like I am right now.
Yeah.
I hand pamphlets to people. I show them signs. Yeah. There's a lot of different ways to reach people, and I use the different ways.
Well, I think the ways that will actually change the laws of the country will come about because you have enough support, but it's not an effective, organized support. You're just creating emotion, and at this point, you've created enough emotion. I could talk to lots of people, and they'd say, "Yeah, I've seen those guys, and I know what they're about." But what they wouldn't be able to articulate is what I just said. They said, "I wouldn't know what to do."
Well, they should come talk to us, and if they really cared, they come talk to us and find out what they could do, right?
But how many people does your sign reach that they just see it versus they actually talk to you? What percent?
Well, it's up to them whether or not they come talk to me, right?
Just what percent? See your sign versus come talk to you.
I think most people would see the sign, and most of those people choose to not come to talk to me.
Right. So that's about 90% plus, right?
Probably.
Okay. So if you instead then had a sign that was as close to talking to you as possible to be informed, instead of just creating an emotion, which is actually the wrong one you want.
I think
they have those. Here's the thing. I know a lot of these people. They have the same emotions. They even have this giant committee of 5 or 10 people, cultural impact, and they will do stuff like heavily sponsor CareNet and take in foster kids. We had a huge foster adoption emphasis. I mean, there are things that this particular church is doing to provide solutions to that.
And
on
it's
the
pathetic.
specific issue to abortion and blocking clinics, though, I'm sorry, but I don't think that long-term that's going to be as effective as changing the law. And to change the law, you need to inform people how to do it. I'm a committeeman on the party for the Republicans. If you want change, you have to inform people effectively. And if you don't have signs that say very clearly what your point is and how you wish us to respond, and you just have pictures, we don't get it.
Well, and I can preach it. You can get it when I preach it, if I preach it. And
most people aren't hearing in your preaching what they need to do to respond to. They just hear your position.
Okay, and
so I'm trying to help you, but
okay,
but I'm trying to help you understand how to connect with us, because it's not that we don't want to. It's just we don't feel we understand you. Even I could probably talk to some other people that came and talked to you. They would probably still come away thinking, I kind of support what they're doing, but I don't know what I could particularly do to make any difference. And so you have to convince us that we can make a difference by showing us how we can make a difference.
Yeah, I've been telling people,
but
I've been
you don't,
preaching in the past at least, that like they should go out to the killing facility right down the road, just, like instead of staying home,
Well,
that's one thing they can do. I've said people need to go out to the culture and change it.
My wife volunteered at CareNet. She didn't know what else she could do. And these people will become involved, but you have to harness their energy in an effective way. And the same is true, I got to believe, across a lot of the conservative part of the country that supports what your aim is. But we would even come along inside and be together if we could find where that togetherness is. And we know where it is. It's changing the laws. That at the beginning, when you have a heart issue, your head tells your heart, hey heart, that's a bad issue. You're responding badly. That's not a Christian response. It's your head telling your heart that. And then after a while, you're studying the scriptures and you're praying, and Christ changes your heart. But before that, it's God's knowledge and wisdom coming to you that changes your head first, and then your heart follows. And you've got to do the same thing here. You've got to capture the spirit of what you're doing in an effective way that we can be together. Because it's not that we oppose your end result. It's just noise, though. I mean, it's not. If people cared, they'd actually come and talk to me and find out, right? I mean, it's just not. It's not a helpful noise. We would like to be there with you, but I could probably talk to 50 people in there that would say the same thing. Yeah, if he had a petition and he had a summary of his petition here, and that said, please sign, I mean, you'd get a lot of signers. I need more than a petition. We need so much more than that. But the referendum, the law change, you can't get there without initially so many thousand signatures. And once you have that, it has to be, the legislators have to put it on the ballot once you have so many. You're talking about at the state level? Yeah. And the same is true for a federal constitutional amendment. I don't know all those particulars, but I do know this. It starts with a petition. I don't know if you can do that in Illinois. Yeah, you can. They did it. They did it not that long ago. They changed the Constitution with a change to make it harder to change the Constitution. It was a wild deal, but that's what they did. And so, talk to the legal people that help you. I'm sure you've got some. And say, how can we go down this avenue, and how can we point people how to help us go down this avenue? Because this is where we want to go. I mean, you're still going to do what you're doing, but if you want to be more effective and help us to come with you in what you're doing, because it's not that we don't, it's just we don't know what to do. Okay, yeah, I want people to just live the same way they would live if born people were being massacred inside killing facilities in their area. People would have a sense of urgency about that, and they'd make it a big priority to figure out what the best course of action is, and they'd act on that, right? They don't need, if you really care, you don't need to
wait for somebody to tell you how to do it. You will go find out how to do it. You will try to figure out the best way to do it, and you'll go do it, right? And I'm encouraging people to think consistently, you know?
I'm helping you know what that is, that you can inform us and we'll be right with you.
And I think it's kind of hard to communicate all of what needs to be communicated on a sign.
But you're leaving this blank.
I could put stuff on it.
Yeah, you could. Put what's important and big enough that I can read it.
Or I could just preach it.
Well, brother, preach it. We're all for preaching. We're not here because we don't want preaching. But inform us in a way that helps us help you when so many of us really are with you. But we're not, we don't get that. I mean, if the one thing and the only thing you want is let's go block the clinics, we're not going to be with you.
Why not?
Well, because of what I just said. When you put yourself in the mindset of someone just like Rosa Parks or the desegregated kids or whatever, and you just look at history clips of what happened. The state troopers came in, they moved the people aside so the people could enter. And that's exactly what happened.
And Rosa Parks is now remembered like decades later, you know?
Right, but
it made an impact.
She was only the beginning of the type of history that brought about change. I mean, she was a catalyst, but a lot of people, see, here's the thing, a lot of people were right with her saying, this is wrong. It's wrong to make these people different than other people, and God calls us all the same. And don't do that here. Don't call us different than what you believe until you've met us and talked to us. And then when you have, and you realize, well, we're really not that far apart, don't say, this is the one thing I believe you should do, because that doesn't really get you the traction that
I'm
you
not
want.
saying it's the only thing to do.
But your words say that. And that's, I mean, that's what you just now said. You didn't give me another option. Well, what else could I do? You don't have another option.
There's a lot of things that can do. You can go out to the streets and preach the gospel to tons of people. You can go out in the streets and show these images to tons of people. Mm-hmm. You can go to the killing facilities and plead for children's lives. You can, vote for people who are not going to regulate murder, but they're going to abolish it. So what we have right now is a pro-life movement in which tons of Christians are voting for people who call themselves